Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome, everybody, to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 159. I'm your host, Klauss and Seyrr, and this feels weird. Why? Because we're not streaming this live at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio as we normally would every other Saturday night at 7 o'clock Central Time. My internet's dead, kind of. It's dead enough to where it's not letting me stream. So we're still doing the podcast, and joining me tonight is Seyrr. Hi, Seyrr. How's it going?
Yo, I am holding up all right somehow.
Hopefully your internet's holding up better than mine.
Oh, yeah, no, my internet's doing great. Which now I feel a little bad that I just said it that way.
And now it's just going to go... It's the weirdest thing, though. You know, the fact that Discord is working fine. We're recording this through Discord still, but yeah, for some reason the way my internet is flaking out on me, it's not letting me stream to Twitch. So I'm hoping we get this sorted soon, because this is kind of annoying. I like interacting with all of you guys live on Twitch, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that I get this resolved with my ISP soon, and we will be broadcasting the next episode as normal. So what have you been up to in the last 2 weeks, Seyrr?
I leveled a bunch of trusts, and then was like, I'm gonna go be a wandering spellblade, and so now I'm doing a bunch of fates. I still haven't done much of the class quests or like the crafting quests, which kind of makes me sad.
I haven't done those yet either. I started one set of them, but crafters are kind of low on my priority list right now, but I'll get there.
I mean, there's a lot about them that seems fun and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I am enjoying the Studium quests. You know, I got through all of the Gatherer ones, and those were kind of interesting. And then I'm right now. I started the one where we're trying to rebuild the or do something about a broken telescope.
Ooh, yeah. I've mostly just started the one where we're trying to make war crime less of a war crime.
Of course, you start with Culinarian.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is Seyrr.
Like
that one also encompasses Alchemist, right?
Yes, Culinarian and Alchemist.
So.
Because there's lots of different ways to make war crime loaf less of a crime.
Yeah, especially if you involve alchemy. Covered in gold, and everybody will eat it then.
Oh god. Yes, we have this special Charlayan bread with gold leaf. We've got like a BuzzFeed episode right there.
Okay, so this is the introduction of Eorzea to gastromolecular biology, I guess.
Covering shit in gold leaf is not molecular gastronomy.
Molecular gastronomy, that's what I was trying to say. But I mean, I can see, using alchemy to encapsulate your salad dressings in tiny bubbles, and
oh well, yeah. That's like
different forms of agar
bullshit
kind of things, but yeah.
I know how to make Parmesan air.
Ooh, you literally do?
Yeah. I don't have some of the specialty equipment that you need for it, but I know about it.
Oh, I figured you would just eat a lot of Parmesan and then burp.
Nope. This one involves a bit of boiling and some like immersion blender and a whole bunch of other things.
Well, that sounds like fun.
And then you get like a sort of like a foam thing that you can spread on a Caesar salad.
Like a spuma?
Yes, actually. I hate the word, but yes.
Why do you hate the word? What's wrong with spuma? Or espuma?
It sounds like...
only because you let it.
It sounds like some type of bodily function
Only
thing.
because you let it, Seyrr. Anyway, that sounds like
fun.
Language
works.
But I gotta watch. Isn't it pretty?
Ooh.
Yes, I bought the watch from the store. I got it yesterday. I got it fitted today. And you know what? It's nice to have a fancy watch. It's pretty.
Yeah. A friend of mine said that like nice watches are one of the few pieces, like accessories, that guys are generally allowed to wear without comment.
Yeah. And occasionally,
like
chains, but
more power to those who can go around with all the bling, all of that, and not get crap from people in their lives. But like a nice watch is the one that anyone can get away with at the very least.
yep, definitely.
And that was a very nice looking watch.
It is. It's a very nice citizen watch. I've never had like an actual name brand outside of Timex, but I bought plenty of those watches off the streets from those reputable businessmen, because they're sporting a really nice trench coat.
You did check that it's actually spelled Timex, right?
Yeah, it's spelled TYMEXXX, right?
Close enough. Enjoy your watch.
That's what I thought. Anyway, we want to make sure to shout out our amazing Patreon producers, Nick, Nar, Aurori, and Tibiant. If you want to support us and be a producer, you can go out to patreon.com/PhoenixStarRadio and support us there, and we'll read your name out at the beginning of the show as well. Let's jump into some gaming community news. So apparently Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster has a tentative February release, according to Square Enix. From their webpage, they talk about all of their announced 2022 releases, including Chocobo GP, that kart racer for the Switch. That's going to be coming out on March 10th. I really want that game. It looks so much fun.
I know it's supposed to be Grand Prix, but I always think GP like the currency.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but yeah, it's supposed to be it's Grand Prix, as well as Stranger.
Oh man, Chocobo GP could be like a new cryptocurrency. I hate myself.
And it's now a one-man show. It's going to be a one-man show from now on, folks. I'm kidding.
I deserve that. I absolutely deserve that. If I brought a new cryptocurrency or an NFT into the world, I want you to end me.
It depends on if I can get in on the ground floor first.
Oh, I'm making evil happen.
No, just trying to make me some money. Just kidding. Anyway, as well as Stranger of Paradise, which is scheduled to release on March 18th. But there was no mention of Final Fantasy 16 or Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 yet. Because, segues, on January 31st, in just a couple of days, or a couple of days ago, depending on when you listen to the podcast, Square Enix is going to be celebrating Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary. That's kind of neat.
God, Final Fantasy VII is that old?
It is.
That's like one of those facts you hear that makes you feel old kind of thing.
1997 is when the game was released. And they announced it via tweet. Square Enix and this is what it says. Square Enix are hosting a big Final Fantasy VII broadcast on 31st January 2022. Tetsuya Nomura and Yoshinari Kitase will appear as special guests. Expect information on Season 2 of The First Soldier, and who knows what else. Ever Crisis? Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2? And that stream's going to start at 7 p.m.
Chocobo's mysterious stock market?
Well, they did say Square Enix wants to get into NFTs, so maybe?
I think they said they wanted to investigate the possibility.
They wanted to explore the options, yes. Yes,
yeah,
but don't involve Chocobos or Ton Buddies or Moogles, please, because we all want them to remain cute and adorable. We don't want to loathe them.
Oh, God.
Make it like Rufus Shinra or something.
I hate myself.
You're fired. No, you're not fired.
I deserve it.
You're too good. But the stream
No,
starts.
you need to end my crimes.
Just stop making war crime loaf and we're good. Anyway.
The
stream starts at 7 p.m. Japanese time, or for us here in the States, 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific on the SE YouTube channel. So if you're up and want to watch it live, otherwise you can probably check out the channel later on and they'll probably have a replay. Plus, there's going to be a whole bunch of news about it on the internet. Somebody's going to be watching it, and we'll post something there. So we'll be reporting.
Some sleep, people.
We'll be reporting on it on the next episode. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.08 released this week. And the Oceania DC opened. Digital sales of the game resumed. And we had some number changes on jobs stuff. Woo.
Paladins got more stabby of things. Good for them.
Yes. But this isn't going to be the only job adjustments coming forward. Apparently, during the Square Enix Mahjong live stream, there were a few announcements that came from Yoshi P in that. He said there was going to be a special edition of the live letter scheduled for late February of this year, with information about post-launch content roadmap. So we'll kind of find out maybe how long we're going to be waiting for each of the different expansion or different major patches.
Yeah, given the completely different story cycle they're doing for this one forward, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little bit of a change in the scheduling on that, but I'll look forward to getting those details.
But we will see patch 6.1 part 1 preview in March, and he did mention that patch 6.1 will include additional job adjustments. So that's kind of neat to hear. And Yoshi P is really, really enjoying his job with Square Enix working on Final Fantasy XIV, and he wants to do it for another 10 years. That's kind of nice. I mean, we're happy to have him. He's doing an amazing job. I mean, it's the freaking,
As long as he doesn't go burning himself out or something.
Or introduce NFTs.
Oh.
Then, that's the next collectible. We have to collect NFTs in game.
I want to see a thing where Rowena decries how stupid the idea is, where it was found on some ancient Allegan tomestone, and she's like, "Why would this ever be a thing?"
And then she starts doing it. No. It's gonna be the goblins. The goblins are gonna start up NFTs.
Stop saying things that make me sad. I like goblins.
All right, so should we talk about something that make you happy? Like Endwalker story spoilers? Because we're going to be talking about some really fun stuff this time. Last episode, we ended killing Zodiark. We killed a god, guys. And
I mean, it's not the first time we killed a god, but it's the god we've been wanting to kill. So good job, everyone. But expansion over. Let's all go home for a parade and medals.
But that's not the case. Because we go back to the Watcher and we learn that, we just basically restarted something that was being stalled with Zodiark's imprisonment. The final days.
Yeah. Turns out that whole rewriting the law of the star thing was something that needed to be happening like all the time, not just a one and done.
Yeah. But you know, that Fandaniel, that Amon, that crazy guy.
Fandaniel back at it again with the blight plans.
Yo. Anyway.
Had you not heard that one? Moose loved that one.
No. Anyway, so he tells us before we go back, there's somebody we should meet, or some bunnies we should meet. And
he wasn't that obvious about it, even if we are.
Well, but we all knew what was coming. Because
out of game we knew.
Out of game we knew.
In game, I don't.
I mean, who the fuck is going to think that there's going to be space bunnies? I mean, aside from everybody who played Final Fantasy IV.
So yes, a little trip over to a new facility that has appeared, and we meet the inhabitants of Bestway's Burrows, the Loporits.
They are hella cute.
God, what an ridiculously adorable scene that was. Like, the other scions just staring on Agog with the, air of, what is happening here?
And we're all like, yeah, space bunnies. And basically we're introduced to their leader, Living Way, right? That's the one?
Right.
Not
Living Way's their leader,
no fucking way. Oh wait, that's
going
one of
my own way.
Go your own way.
I do love the triple triad playing cheating way.
And then there's the other one that we didn't meet. Well, we won't talk about him yet. But anyway, maybe we'll do that one after dark.
Bruno way?
No. Yeah. Anyway, you know which one I'm talking about. Anyway,
I know.
Basically, they show us around the lunar base, and they're all proud of all the work that they've been accomplishing, and they want us to be proud of it too. And there's lots of carrot jokes, lots of bad fashion. Well,
yeah, it's very clearly a combination of because they clearly did their best, but they also got instructions a long time ago and are not really at all familiar with the actual situation on the surface of the planet.
Well, they are,
especially when
they are working with collaborators on the planet right now that contacted them a few hundred years ago. And so they
still think people grow to the height of ancients.
Yeah. Such
that they Living Way has to make that panicked call of, okay, all the living spaces need to be a third the size.
Yeah, the whole thing, 90% of their knowledge, yes, came from Heidelin. These were creations of Heidelin when Zodiac was imprisoned on the moon, and then she created the Loporrits as a last ditch, plan Z kind of thing when all else fails.
In case everything goes wrong and we need to get the hell out.
Because, but what could possibly go wrong? Other than we kill a god and we restart the final days.
It's not like someone's going to go up there and kill the thing that's actually running this entire control system.
Until they do.
Yeah, and that's why you have backups.
Yes, and backups of backups.
But yeah.
By the way, Sarah, you're a little bit fuzzy. You want to fix your camera there? There we go.
Is there even going to be camera for the recording?
Yes, there will. Well, there will be for the YouTube version. So.
Oh right, that's a thing.
We are still doing YouTube.
But the entire thing, while also serving as a lot of useful exposition, is kind of a nice little breather episode after the heavy stuff we've just had to deal with.
We just killed a fucking god, and we need something to try and figure out, what's going to happen now, because we all know what will be coming.
We kill gods all the time.
But not the, one of the two most powerful beings in all of, our known universe.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It's like we are like several tribes know us literally as a god killer. It's a thing we do. It's on brand.
But so we go through all that, and they show us around, and the funny thing is, frickin' Urianger loves the fashion. He loves carrots, and the Loporrits are just basically all over him. They're absolutely, they think that he is like the best thing, and they see that we and Stola and Thancred, not so much. We kind of have our doubts, our issues with what they're doing, and they're not cool with that. So they try to distract us while they try to get Urianger down there to talk with everybody on the planet about, hey, you need to go to the moon because that's the best plan.
They have a very clear mandate. Make sure that the people of what we find out is a Theris.
Yes.
It turns out the planet had a name before it was Heidelin.
Yes.
I had thought about that once in a while, but I'd never really considered it much. So it was kind of nice to have this is what the planet was. It wasn't always called Heidelin because Heidelin wasn't always there.
Yes.
Yes. But they love and care about the people of it. They see escape as the only option there. And they don't want everything to be lost to a batch of people who don't really get what's going on, especially with all the work they've put in. Mm-hmm. So it's understandable. Felt a little bit bad to have Urianger's being asked to keep secrets again, because that's been such a thing for him all throughout the time we've known him.
And it was nice that they actually addressed it as part of that quest line. And how when you're following him and talking with him about it, he's like, yeah, I understand this might seem a little bit sus, but we're just trying, I'm just trying to do the right thing, and ends up he does have our backs as well, and he tells the Loperates that no, he's not going to go down there and just tell everybody they need to come up here, but he will stay on the moon and help them with their plans, have them give them a better understanding of how Hydaelyn actually is, the planet, not the god.
Yeah.
And
It let them stay. It let him stay true to his own beliefs while also being able to help them out and not having to go down this path that, again, he's had to do so many times.
Yep. So we say our
Like,
temporary...
you have to imagine he's starting to feel a little bad about it.
Yeah. We do say our temporary goodbyes to him as we leave him on the moon while the rest of us head back down to the planet. And, well, shit's starting to hit the fan. It's not good. We hear that Radzat Han and Thavnair are experiencing some really, really nasty things. The skies are ablaze, and monsters are appearing everywhere. And
looks like the final days are back on schedule.
Yeah, only been delayed by what? 12,000 years? What was it? 1,200 years?
Yeah.
How many years?
That's like a pretty good reprieve there.
Yeah. But so we go help out, and we talk with the satrap. He informs us that the monsters that are showing up are not just monsters, but they are his people that have transformed into these monsters. So,
bit of a change from the situation we were seeing in Amarot, where the monsters were creation magic gone amok that was creating these. Now, creation magic's not a thing, but we have people outright transforming.
Mm-hmm. And we're like, what's happening? We're very confused and scared, and just the whole situation. They did a great job at making the player even feel very, panicked by what's going on. So we're told that there is a very large blasphemy, as dubbed by the locals, that's been wreaking havoc in the area, and we have been asked to go take care of it. So we go into our level. Which level is this one? 85?
This would be the 85 dungeon.
Yeah, so we go into the level 85 dungeon, which is basically like, I've heard it dubbed as the California wildfires.
Gender reveal party, extreme.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, making our way through the jungles of Thavnair. The actual dungeon is called Vanaspati, which is referring to a village that's part of it, and where this is all centered around.
Yep. Basically, this entire village has everybody in it has either been killed or has transformed into one of these beasts, and our job is to try and take out the big one and save who we can.
Yeah, in some cases, transforming right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, this
always fun.
While it wasn't nearly as impactful, this dungeon gave me Hallminster Switch vibes.
Yeah. I will say, of the dungeons, it was the one that felt the least memorable to me, which is saying a bit for one where you're making our way through a full-on forest fire and hordes of monsters sweeping throughout, but
this is
a lot
fine.
of it just didn't seem to grab me as much. It was fine.
No, you're 100% right, and I agree with you completely. It was probably my least favorite dungeon of the ones that we ran, just because it is so not very memorable. But
yeah,
I mean, it was still good. It just, like I said, it didn't grab me. But
it's also in a thing where there was a lot of really amazing stuff. So
after we try to save the village, we learn that these monsters, that the people who turn into these monsters, they're not just transformed. It's not like the Sin Eaters of the first, where we could save them. This transformation depletes and steals their ether as well, basically making them a husk of what they used to be, and they're beyond salvation, unfortunately.
Not even in this, for all this stuff, even with the Sin Eaters, even the ones who had fully transformed, okay, like that person's gone, but at the very least their ether could be returned to the planet. They could be, in some sense, brought back or reborn. Like, there's some essence of them that isn't necessarily, but with this, no, the ether is just outright seems to be annihilated. This is one of those ones where I actually went through doing leveling all my trusts, so I got to see how the trusts relate act in the dungeon. And if you do bring Ishtal along, given that her vision is based on seeing ether, all throughout she makes remarks that, hey, it feels like there's something strange going on, that their ether seems to be draining away, or that she's not or that similar things to that. And she's the one who, after the dungeon, whether she was just speculating throughout or just noticing, puts together their ether seems to be gone entirely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like when we felled other beasts, you feel their ether returning to the planet. This one, there's nothing there. Doesn't she even comment that she has a hard time seeing these beasts?
Yeah, they have no ether for her to look at.
Yeah. So we
I mean, that was something, if you remember the Warriors of Darkness, they were felt like, okay, like, we don't want our world to be destroyed in a flood of darkness. Even if everyone dies, they can at least be returned to the live stream and some essence of them can be reborn. That, of course, partly was fed by Elpis dripping information in their ear, but they had this thing of, even if we lose the people themselves, there's some aspect or element of them we don't want to lose.
Yeah.
And so even though we've definitely had hey, people die, are lost, there's an added element of horror into it in that every bit of their essence is just gone.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad. Well, after we learn about this, we share our findings with the Satrap, but we're then tasked to discover where all this started. And we learn that the first transformation actually happened before the skies changed. And if you remember,
that's the one where it starts being a question of, maybe this is more complex than we thought. The thing that seems like the apocalyptic one isn't what spurred the transformation. The order has been different the entire time.
Yeah, in this case, we discover that Ari merchant Kalzal, I remember him from the very beginning of the game. We talk with him because he's in charge of all the merchant trade at that village that we first start in Thavnair, and his business had been really bad, and it had gotten, he had this big job, or this, he was going to be taking care of this large order and getting that sent off for the Weavers Guild, basically, or a large weaver consortium in Radzat-Han, but they went with another merchant, and he was devastated. And his despair...
The full story is slightly more complex, but we get a picture of someone whose life was pretty much going down the tubes, desperately struggling to try to save something of it, and having that moment of hope, and then having it snuffed out.
Yep. Which caused his despair to hit these levels, which caused him to transform. And here we are.
Yeah.
But after sharing those findings, he gathers the people of Radzat-Han and tells them to remain calm. They've quelled the beasts within the city, and things are starting to return to normal. So please be calm, and we'll do everything we can to keep you safe. But then our little fisherman friend, what was his name again? Matsya. He tells us that the village of Palika's Stand is surrounded by all these fiends, and this old grandmother is just distraught now and extremely worried about her grandson, and she becomes inconsolable. And wouldn't you know it, she turns in front of us, and which causes a chain reaction, and more people start doing this, and all shit hits the fan, and unfortunately we're able to quell it again, but the satrap is killed trying to save one of his people.
That entire scene was just so brutal. We've often had scenes where stuff is put in danger, but then it's like, oh, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't kill a major character like that. You aren't going to kill these innocents. We see a child transform in front of his father. And then not even like, do you think, okay, it's going to then do some type of attack where it doesn't even get far before it just gets stomped on and crushed out of existence by another monster.
Yeah.
Like, that one hit really hard. Just this is senseless and brutal and chaotic, and there's no one is immune from it, and you just may end up with a completely meaningless death at the end of it.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of that.
Yeah. Just like, and that particular, the air it's set up of like little kids, this could happen to them as well. We saw stuff in Vanaspati where a mother transforms, and then after that, her 3 sons, all trying to get her out of there, all fall to despair and transform themselves. So we have lots of, truly no one is safe from this. This is not something where we can say, we can just identify and prevent the thing, because anyone who is having a sufficient despair, having these things going on there, they can potentially become the flashpoint for it. Something that will become an important element in a little bit.
No, no way. They're not going to keep up with this, are they? So basically, we make our way to Palika's stand to try and save as many people as we can, because we're the Warrior of Light. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So we're
this is not just a matter of physically rescuing people, but being able to keep their spirits up. So definitely a lot of added tension to it. Again, working with the thing where despite our best efforts, we could have transformations at any time from people who are quite reasonably reacting to the very unpleasant reality of their situation.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So we're told about this young family that appears to be missing from the village. So at Matsuya's request, we go out and we start looking for this husband, wife, and their newborn baby. We search throughout the area. We end up finding the father, but he is injured gravely, and he tells us to find his wife and daughter, and he dies in front of us, basically.
It's a testament to how grim the mood is that when we see that, one of the comments we get from the other NPCs is like, you know what? At least he freaking died human.
Yeah. So we find other people to try and save. They're near this temple. We're able to save them from a few monsters that have found them, and they make their way to the village. And then we see a flash of a young woman clutching something close, running in the distance, and being chased by a large monster. So we book it. We see her. We make a dash for her, and we try our best to try and stop this monster from attacking her. But before we can reach her, the monster reaches out, grabs her by the head while she's clutching her baby, and throws her into a nearby pool. Of course, we dive in after her. But we get to the mother, and, well, she's dead. But we see the baby.
All through that, I was hoping so desperately. It's like, okay, pool, soft landing. Like, maybe, please.
I would assume that her neck was snapped before she was even hit the water.
There's any number of things that could have happened, but it was so good at making it feel like, hey, there's still some type of hope for it, and then crushing that hope.
But the baby is still there, and we swim and we grab the bundle and we surface, and the baby is non-responsive.
It
It's
sank so deep, so fast.
yes, and we're all like, oh no, but Alphino is able to resuscitate it, and it weakly cries, but it's alive. For a second, I was like, oh god, Square Enix is going to kill a baby.
I mean, I absolutely believed they would have done it. After everything else we had seen, and that was one of the reasons I mentioned, like, wanting to come back to it. After everything else, I was like, no, they'd do it. They would do it right now. I mean, we're not even out of the woods yet. I mean, the baby's is healed, but still needs immediate medical attention.
Yep. Which we bring it
And you
back to the village and to make sure that it gets the attention that it needs, that she needs.
Well, I mean, the bit that I want to highlight there is there's this entire sequence with, because we're still, we, the Warrior of Light, the twins, as actual combatants, still need to help fend off monster attacks, do all of that. And Matsuya volunteers to carry the baby back to the village. And it's like,
oh yeah, God.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have this entire sequence where you're starting to see both of them, both the child and Matsuya, for different reasons, are panicking, are really stressing out. You're starting to see the swirls of the transformation around the both of them. First one, then the other, and it seems to be going back and forth. Matsuya trying to calm himself, trying to soothe the baby as well. And again, at that point, I was like, oh my god, they might do it. They might have the baby transform. They might have Matsuya transform and in his transformation kill the baby. They could do any amount of this. And again, like in a normal story, I'd be like, okay, they've set the thing for this. It'll be a tense thing, but they'll make it. But after everything else they've done in the setup, I genuinely believed they might do this.
Yeah, in prior
Which,
expansions,
let me tell you, made that entire sequence land so well.
Yeah, in prior expansions they wouldn't have gone that far, but in Endwalker they're taking it there.
It felt believable.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a testament to the skill of the writing here, of the pacing of it, of all the things they set up. Again, like that sequence where you have the invasion of Radzatan, where all these horrible things are happening in ways that they just don't pull punches, that it really started to feel like, no, they might do this. The gloves are off, and they are goddamn serious about it.
Well, it is the ending of this story, so they're willing to take it where it needs to go.
Yeah. Also, Ishikawa seems like someone who does not shy away from unpleasant realities. And the reality is, sometimes the good guys get slaughtered.
But fortunately, Matsuya is able to calm himself and the baby, and they do make it back to the village. We dispatched.
Oh my god, I needed a break after that entire sequence.
We dispatched the monsters that were following us, and we also make our way back. And the next bit that we get in there is actually kind of a nice calming break. We pass out soup and chai, or just chai, I think it is, to the different people in the village, and we talk with them, and really try to get what they're thinking, what they're feeling right now. And just the fact that they hold this cup of warm tea in their hands, smell it, and are calmed, because it's a happy memory. It's something that they can hold on to in these times right now. So it's really it was,
again, there's
it's hard to put a lot of this to words.
Again, there's a lot going on here. You have like the whole idea of like breaking bread together, sharing meals, like this really thing that kind of builds a community, builds connections. We saw that with the soup back in Garlemald, and we see it with the chai here. Yep. Because there's kind of a similar thing where it's like, yes, the heroics and the fighting monsters and all that, that's all well and good, but the thing that really builds the community, builds the connections, leads to like the longer term stuff is the sharing a moment together, sharing our culture, who we are, which food is often a really big stand-in for.
Yep.
So it's a device they leaned on a bit, but it's also a device I really appreciate. And I was kind of happy to see this recurring idea of it.
So after that, we do our best to calm people of Palakistan. We return back to Radzat-Han, and we learn Vertra has decided to reveal himself to the people of Radzat-Han. Basically,
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of choice.
they
The
need a leader.
unbroken line of the the unbroken line of the satraps has,
Broken.
been chomped and devoured.
Yeah. Or if you want to put it that way, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But he flies in. At first, the people are a little bit scared because it's a giant fucking dragon that landed in a town square. But he shares that he's been watching from behind the scenes this entire time, and that his love of the people and his desire to protect them has never changed and has become stronger still with everything going on. And he succeeds in giving them a little bit of hope, or would have succeeded more if he hadn't been interrupted by some visitors. The forum.
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll mention really quickly some of the stuff that they've described in supplemental materials is that in the various regions that we've been to, a lot of them kind of revisit or explore themes that we'd seen in other expansions. And Thavner was described as like, hey, we're kind of looking at some of the themes and ideas that were explored, and we're kind of reflecting Heaven's Word. And while I know some people were skeptical of that, you've got, hey, this relationship between dragon and man, this kind of coming together, these disparate things. It's done in a bit of a different way, but it was kind of a nice callback to that entire theme, especially because you have Estinian acting now as one of the elements that's encouraging Vertra to go ahead and reveal himself to his people as himself.
Well, I mean, the fact that Estinian has, basically an intimate knowledge of the dragons now, and not intimate in that way, you perverts.
He's not Shiva.
But he did have a dragon inside him. Anyway.
Wait, what?
I mean,
oh my.
But again, the fact that this is kind of this revisiting and summation of the entire story. So getting to revisit this idea of the interactions between these two disparate worlds, it was like kind of a nice revisit and a nice coda to all of it.
But as I was saying, this was all interrupted by the forum sending emissaries, including Fortunal and other colleagues from Charlayan, and they invite the people of Radzat-Han and Thavner to escape with them off planet to the moon. And they're all like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But
now, like they've always talked about the final days and how they have, like, if this was, they would know, and that they have plans for it and all that. And with fire raining from the skies and the people transforming into monsters, it is finally time for them to show at least a little bit of their hand.
Yeah. But, Vertra is going to listen to them, and, he's going to do what he thinks is best for his people, but he's not going to force them to do anything that they don't want to do. But he'll hear out these visitors, so they go up and they talk about it.
One of, Vertra's very concerned for his people, not even in I am a tyrant and I will die of it, but I want to consider their needs. If Vertra makes it clear that if there are some of his people who want to go with the Charlayans, he's not going to stop them. A lot of them still seem to want to stay just because, he is a leader that they love. They trust him, but there are some who, at the very least, seem interested in going with the Charlayans, which we will explore a bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Really fascinating set of interactions there.
Yep. It's at this point that we are rejoined by Nidana. Tells us her latest theory regarding Akasa, which she believes might be the cause of this transformation. Because Akasa is influenced solely by emotion. And that kind of tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some stuff. I think at this term, I forget if we've been introduced to the other term for Akasha at this moment.
yet.
I don't think we had
Not
quite
yet. Soon.
But it does seem it's something where it's pointed out that this person seemed to have a strong emotional response, that again the transformation preceded, and that we've seen stuff that seems to indicate that emotions can influence some forces. Like, the idea's been explored a little bit. Again, it's difficult for us to really test or get into in deeper things, but it's an interesting theory she's putting forward.
Yep. So we take this knowledge and we go back to Charlene and we gather up with all the other scions. And we tried to decide for ourselves, is fleeing to the moon our only choice? Do we want to abandon the source as well as all of the shards? Because, well, it's not like we can go back to the first and bring people back from there.
Yeah, like this is, there's a lot of discussion, review of what we know. It is pointed out that the source is that in more than just name, and that if it were to fall, that all of the shards would fall with it.
Exactly.
So, if we do have to flee and abandon the place, Reen, the people of the Crystarium, all of that, they're going to be doomed.
Yep. So we
At the same time, there is a question of, like, just what choice do we have otherwise? Is there anything we even can do to try to forestall this doom?
And in talking about, the emotion, that brings up a reminder of this flower that we had found in Labyrinthos, the Elpis flower that seems to change whenever different emotions are around.
In fact, we had first known it as the Heart Bloom. It was the Watcher on the Moon who said that in its time it was known as the Elpis, and that this was something that we should keep close as it could become important later.
And then Graha remembers that, well, Elidibus is still sealed in the tower back on the first. Maybe he has some input that he can shed some light on for us. So,
yeah.
Being he's our only possible link to something that something else we can try, we are sent back to the first, and we go talk with Elidibus, and
we did kind of murder all the other ancients. That's on us.
Yeah, well, they were kind of being jerks, so that's on them.
They were. Like, we made the right decision here, but we also did kind of make this problem ourselves.
Yeah, we did kind of kill their god. So that's kind of on us.
I mean,
no,
we killed most of them before they killed their god.
Well, their god kind of wanted to commit, it was more of a suicide by Warrior of Light, but...
I mean, their god was a mech suit that was being piloted by a guy who was kind of a huge dick.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And
it's
also,
weird.
mostly an ancient who, saw an empire rise and fall and kind of became a nihilist.
Anyways. Point being, we're a little low on ancients, but we do have one bottled up that we could, who is pretty much our last choice for finding, hey, what is this whole Elpis thing? This seems to have some connection to it. What's the nature of that connection?
Yeah, he's our genie in a bottle.
We'll rub him the right way.
So if you weren't going to say it, I was going to.
Come on, you set me up like that.
Oh, thank you, Seyrr. I knew there was a reason I kept you around.
There's plenty of reasons.
You're right.
But so we get our trip back to the first, which is kind of a nice chance to check in on all the different people that we had worked with. Like, once we had finished with the first, once we came back for the post 5.0 content, it's kind of okay, things are sort of settled and done here. At the very least, it didn't seem like there was a lot of reason that we'd need to be going there again.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's kind of nice to have this chance to come back and see how things have been getting on without us.
Yeah, I mean, we did have to go back to try and stop Eden, but that's about it. Aside from that, or if there was a hunt train, you got to go back for those hunt trains,
Hunt trains are not canonical.
They are canonical. How else are you going to get your nuts? Anyway.
Okay, are you trying to set me up here? Anyway.
Go ahead.
So yeah, we get what... God, I really love the entire scene there as we're talking with the remains of Elidibus within the Crystal Tower structure. sealed away, still clearly tempered to Zodiark, unable to sense his presence anymore.
He's like, what did you do?
I mean, he doesn't even, makes it clear he doesn't even seem to have the energy to care that much. Like, he's not pleased about it, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot he can really cares to do. He recognizes himself as the defeated, us as the victor, who gets to extract spoils from him. And as we ask about the Elpis, and he talks about what little he remembers, he notes that, wait, no, there's something in his memories that seems like an impossible connection, but that might actually be the key to all this. He even says like it's a long forgotten thing that should be impossible. Very cryptic about the whole thing.
It's their hand-wavy way of sending us to the past.
I mean, he's being cryptic about it because they don't want to spoil us on what this is about yet. But yes, he determines that, you know what, this is something that maybe this was destined all along. The Crystal Tower, the one that is on the first, had been outfitted to allow that travel through the rift back in time. That, hey, the tower's power, he had it from when he did all that stuff where he took it from the Crystal Exarch, and he can go ahead and throw open the gates to the rift one last time. Go ahead and send us back to bear witness to what happened all the way back then. He acknowledges Heidelin's victory and a desire for the world to be saved, though not without some amount of bitterness at all of it. But that, yes, he'll go ahead and throw open the gateway so that we can see what happened then, know the truth of how all this began, and that may give us something of what we need to head off this problem. He also notes that the power required to do this will drain away the last of his remaining essence. So this is very much a suicide mission for him.
This is his final act.
Yeah.
So
It is amazing how in just a space of a few short patches, we went from, okay, he's this total snake and we don't trust him, he's doing all this, to, oh my god, I feel bad for him.
well, and with everything we know about what's going on, you know, there's reason to have, you know, we've garnered understanding as to why they did what they did.
Like, that is kind of what we do as a Warrior of Light. We understand our opponent and then we destroy them.
Or we destroy our opponents, then we learn about them after the fact.
It's a whole thing. There's understanding and destroying us all throughout. It is a cycle of ouch.
Yes. So we fly through the past.
Yeah,
and we arrive.
Warns us that we're going to be in like a very kind of like form where we won't be able to interact with it. That even if we could, we shouldn't bother with going around to trying to change the past, because that would effectively, the exact interpretation has been debated a bit, but it seems like it's okay, you just spawn off a new timeline. That wouldn't be your world, and it's not the thing you want to save. So there's no point in, for instance, trying to avert the final days.
So basically, the Back to the Future syndrome.
No, you cannot use this as an end around to get Amarat housing.
Damn it.
You know, that's what happens. Every time we add a new place, someone's like, I want to have housing there.
Actually, I wouldn't mind having housing in Elpis. It's pretty.
Okay. It is a goddamn research facility. You've freaking proven my point here.
But it's pretty. It's a pretty research facility. And they
But yes.
The workers have to live somewhere. So I want housing. Anyway, so we go there and we see two robed figures come in, and one of them looks familiar. The other one has kind of pinkish hair and kind of gives off a familiar aura. The funny thing is, they notice us.
which they really shouldn't be able to do. We are these things of like extremely weak ether. We're in there in this really limited thing. Elizabeth said it would be far more limited than even the warriors of light that he kind of summoned with that power before. So we'd been ghosts who couldn't interact with anything.
Yeah, we're a wee little shade interacting with big giant people, and they see us. And the people that see us are Emmett Selk and Hythelodius. And it's amazing. And he's like, what are you? They detect a familiar aura from us, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. So entire thing's a bit of a mess. They can recognize that the color of the soul it seems to resemble that of their friend Azem. So the immediate assumption, of course, is, okay, this is some kind of familiar. Azem's up to their usual tricks.
Yeah.
But hey, because it's so weakly made, they can't even tell what. But you know what? That's not a problem. Emmett is replete with ether.
Hey, Emmett.
He can certainly...
Yeah, give him some of your ether, Emmett.
He can certainly spare a bit. This is nowhere near the first time that people needle Emmett Selk into doing things that you kind of wonder if maybe he wanted to do it all along, but feels like he needs to keep up appearances or something. It is unclear how much he's like his protestations are genuine. I think that's part of why people love the dynamic between all of these ancient characters so much.
Well, I will argue that, I thought, the shade version of Hythelodius that we had in Amarat was, kind of cool, but seeing the real one, holy shit, fucking amazing. Best character in the expansion.
I've argued for one of the Loperates, but we can debate that later.
In the expansion.
Certainly a fan favorite if the memes and art I've seen are anything to go by. But yes, you really get an idea for why Emmett Selk might have momentarily thought, yeah, Hythlodeus would figure out what was going on here.
So anyway, Emmett Selk shares some ether with us, and not only brings us so we are fully visible, brings us up to their size. So we're not just a little third scale mini. We are, at the size of the ancients. So we are Azem's familiar. And for some reason
the entire thing is a continual thing of, oh god, what's happening here? Okay, are they about to figure us out? Okay, what's happening? We are so in over our heads right now, but what else can we do but just kind of keep rolling with it?
Yeah, and then for some reason they want us to hang out with them. So either we don't get in trouble. Yeah, I think Hythlodeus just wants to see how far he can stretch it before Emmett Selk snaps.
Yeah,
is really probably what's going on here.
But it does also seem there's a bit of, okay, well, Azem clearly sent this for something, and the dude's our buddy. Like, that's one thing that had also been established. Hythlodeus, Emmett Selk, and Azem. It's an odd one, but they're like besties. They're the squad.
Yeah. So we learn.
And hey, we might as well leverage that.
Yep. We learn that they are here to try and talk with one of their other friends, Hermes, about an opening in the Convocation, and find out what his thoughts would be to joining them. But we tag along because we want to try and figure out what's going on in this place, and try and learn as much as we can about the past and how things were developed, or how things developed the way they did.
Yeah, I think once we've learned that Hermes is connected to the seat of Fandaniel, it becomes clear that, okay, there's some kind of thing going on here, that understanding this may give us some more ideas to how all this came to be and what happened.
Then we met, I would say, probably, at least at this point, the second best character in the expansion.
No argument here, because there's a good bit of just like exploring around, seeing the world of the ancients, learning about Elpis,
and oh my god, it's a little bird girl. Come on.
Yeah,
Medion is just so fucking cute, and just so much fun to interact with and talk with, and we learn she's empathic. She can sense feelings.
Couple important details on that. Meteon is a concept created by Hermes, who seems to have a lot of connection to a lot of his creations. In general, is a very empathetic person who worries about, okay, we're creating this life, we're unmaking it if it doesn't meet our standards. These things, do they want to live as well? Do they have feelings? He is shown as being fairly alone in this, that most ancients don't give a thought to these kinds of lesser beings, but for him, he's someone who's in a lot of anguish about it. And Meteon here is a personal project.
And the thing of
she's such a cutie.
The biggest thing of it is he's a researcher in Elpis, and the researchers are supposed to kind of be a little bit more methodical and maybe not quite as attached in that way to all these different constructs, because they're there to be judged for their worthiness of whether or not they're going to be used in the world. If it's something that they can register. That's the weird thing. These constructs are basically registered to a department in order to be used or placed throughout the world, because they are used. It's basically like,
I mean, like you're building an ecosystem. You say, hey, I want to put this new herbivore in. It's going to help trim down the excess levels of this. It'll create fertilizer that'll do this. It can act as a food source for this other thing that we know we've been having trouble maintaining their calorie stores. So, like, they're kind of building up ecosystems and the like. And, like, it's done as it's presented as kind of they're being responsible stewards of the planet who are creating the things that need to be there in order to have this vibrant living ecosystem.
But of course, not all of the constructs are end up being, good, because there's a lot of them that seem to have anger issues, or they like to just attack things, or they're poisonous, or this, that, or the other thing, and they need to be viable.
Or that one that seemed to have a tendency towards mutation, such that a few generations in, it seemed to lose its flying ability.
Oh, God. The Sanuas, basically. What we would call Sanuas, they called something else, and I don't recall what it was.
Everything has lots of delightful Greek names that have lots of significance if you go and look up some of those words.
Which maybe we'll talk about in a future episode. Look forward to that.
That could be a fun lore segment.
But that whole scene, when Hytholodius and Hermes basically goad Emmett Selk into teaching it how to fly. It was fucking perfect.
Yeah, in addition to all the stuff with the actual functioning of Elpis, we get a lot of explorations of the relationship that these people have, their interactions, certainly Emmett Selk and to a certain extent Hythlodaeus were breakout stars of Shadowbringers, so there's some amount of this that felt a little bit like giving the audience what they want. And then, which, you know what, I was okay with it in this case.
And I'm trying to think back, in that whole Sanawa flying scene, wasn't there another person that had joined us for that one? Or I think so, right?
I don't think they were there yet. It was when we went to the next island that they joined us.
But we did meet another familiar face.
Yeah, like we've been exploring around, doing lots of shenanigans, learning about the interactions of these people, learning about the nature of the ancient world. And it's upon arriving at a new island that we are set upon by one of the concepts that, again, possibly a little bit too aggressive. Hythlodaeus possibly a little too distracted talking about the details of it. Dude loves his concepts.
And then we are, after that, we're introduced to Vana.
Introduced, I believe you mean rescued.
Yeah.
Coming in, sword and shield, full-on type thing, saves the day, drives, helps us out with the monster, and oh my God, I was so prepared for this to be Vana. We've heard about Vana before, the leader of this rebel faction that would eventually summon Hydaelyn as a counter to Zodiark. And he's like, okay, some type of heroic thing, this whole weighty politics that kind of collapses under the weight of its own self-importance. And no, Vana is the former Azem, mentor to the current one, and first thing she does after taking care of after the shark monster, looking us over, asks, "I'm sorry, are you from the future?" Oh my fucking god! Well, I was like, "Wait, what? How?" Like, and it's like, no. Like, she's not this super serious thing. Azem is the spirit of adventurer bullshit, and Vana is adventurer bullshit in spades. She knows what she's doing. She's trolling the fuck out of everyone for her amusement all the time, and she has our number 100%. Such that she can just come out and ask, "Hey, wait, are you a time traveler from the future?"
Well,
and then backs it up. She fucking backs it up.
Well, the fact that she can sense not only the current Azem's aura on us, she detects her blessing on us.
Yeah. It's like,
and
okay,
she's never met us yet, so she knows we have to be from the future at some point.
I mean, it's a reasonable speculation. Hi, I have never met you. I've never had any of this. You have magic that I have clearly cast upon you. The only option is that I will cast this magic on you at some point in the future. And that means you have to be from the future. That's like, yeah, you could start protesting all this stuff about how time travel is impossible, but hey, like, fairly clearly laid out logic here. And I know I saw that as like, you know what? It's pointless to even protest. She is too absurdly sharp. She's willing to consider all sorts of things and not constrained by ideas of what is and isn't possible. She just sees what's in front of her. It is pointless to try to lie to this woman.
And she's fucking amazing, so.
Yeah.
Because basically
she
now
is personified adventurer bullshit, and I love her for it.
Because basically she and Hytholodius basically team up on Emmett Selk now. And it makes for some great... It's hilarious.
Everyone teams up on Emmett Selk. God, he has to know he invites this on himself, doesn't he?
Yeah. But there's always one of those groups. But yeah, at this point, basically, we spill the gut. We spill the beans. We tell them everything about what we encounter, about the sundering, about Zodiark dying, and the return of this end of days, and they're all like, what do we do?
I mean, Emmett Selk doesn't believe a word of it. He is especially annoyed that the version of him we describe is some type of megalomaniacal idiot who invited his own downfall by having us come to this Phantom Amarat to fight him. He's like, okay, even if I was willing to believe this whole year for the future thing, what kind of stupid idiot do you think I am that I would do that?
Don't answer that.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I don't think he could have foreseen what 12,000 years of grief and struggle and all that would have done to him. That maybe, maybe part of you kind of wanted to die. He is not in a place to hear that. And so while he's willing to believe that there's something weird with us, he is steadfastly refusing to believe our tale. Venat seems down with it.
As the
Hytholodius just kind of seems like, Hytholodius seems kind of along for the ride.
Because it fucks with them itself, and he's all for that.
He seems a little skeptical, but at least part of it is just because the thing being described is so huge and momentous and difficult to believe.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like healthy skepticism.
I mean, we've got Vana, who's all in. We've got Emmett Selk, who's hell nah. Of course, Hytholodius is the middle, bridging the two together. And he's like, yeah, let's listen. Let's hear it out. Come on. So, but still, it was just gorgeous on hearing all that.
We're spending a lot of time on this, but that's because, quite frankly, there was a lot going on. I've described this expansion as being the most Final Fantasy of the expansions, and having a sequence where you go back in time and view what happened at start. God, that feels like such a Final Fantasy staple somehow.
Yeah. Just and how this entire part of the story was handled actually, as we get through it, it was just absolute genius.
As I
Through
said,
and
like,
through.
I was prepared for it to be like okay, this is where it collapses under its own self-indulgent weight. And it didn't, and it was joyful, and I loved every moment of it.
Absolutely. So yeah, at this part, we after we have spilled the beans as what's going on, we come back to Hermes and Medion. Hermes is still having his existential crisis with what's happening with a number of these constructs having to be either completely destroyed because they're flawed and cannot be fixed, and not wanting to see that happen to any of his constructs or anything any of his work. He just doesn't like
he's kind of dealing with some big questions about like life and the nature of happiness and whether it's possible to have like a happy existence and all that. This is actually one of the things we find that he created Meteon to explore, because it turns out that Meteon is one of many, refers to them as her sisters.
Many that were sent off prior.
Yeah.
And the other thing...
all throughout the universe.
Yep. At this point, we've learned that Meteon is not constructed with ether. She is one with another force that we learn is called Dynamis.
God, I have so much PTSD from that damn name.
Did you bring your hourglass?
Oh my god, why are people lauding all the assassin's armlets? Those are supposed to be mine. I have the points.
This was mine. And don't forget to pass on all of the ancient currency.
Perpetual force of trauma.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why they chose the name, honestly.
I don't think so. I think it's
I know.
The callback, I think, may have been like a happy coincidence. Happy for them. I still hate it. But yeah, we do actually end up learning a bit about Dynamis. Is one of the things we end up learning about here as a force that is actually fairly common throughout most of the universe. Does not interact well with ether, but most of the universe does not have ether, and thus ends up being like the analog to dark matter was actually kind of neat.
Yeah, ether
like a lot of the ways it was described, it made me think of dark matter.
Ether is kind of a thing that you have for most living beings, but the majority of the universe is just, it's not empty, but it's full of Dynamis. And that's what kind of allows these Meteon constructs to fly through space, is because they can interact with the Dynamis and basically they have something it's not going to kill them.
Getting back to the main point of things, one of the things we find out is that Hermes has sent all of these Meteons out to kind of explore the universe, contact other life, and try to get their answers to a lot of those basic questions of like what is the purpose of life? Have you found happiness in it? How's the things that one can do? All that. Kind of farming out this big, okay, how do I answer these questions?
And then...
as we're doing our explorations, learning about it, we do find that, hey, the Meteon reports are starting to come in. There's this long chase sequence as Meteon herself seems reluctant to give her report. Very cagey about what's going on with it. After a lot of chasing her down, we eventually do get to hear the report from all of the Meteons.
And it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, what they report is a universe full of dead worlds of civilizations, planets that used to exist, that used to be full of life, that had all destroyed themselves in some way or another.
Whether it was via war, or there was some that they got so opulent that they were bored, or there was also a group that that wanted to live forever, and then they got bored of that, so they wanted to die.
There's the entire thing is a little bit chilling to read off, each one with a with a Greek number, and then a description of the horrible fate that seemed to met them, including some where it's like, okay, there's like traces of a civilization, but no extant life forms, or one that was where where found effectively a deity of that world who had, in a fit of pique, destroyed the people, and after talking with Medion, elected to self-terminate. All sorts of fun, grim stuff there.
Yes, and all of this comes back, and basically, yeah, Medion doesn't take that very well.
Medion is a distributed consciousness that has just seen a universe full of pain and misery, and has decided that the kindest thing that she can do is to relieve life of its burden.
Yep, so she's gonna send down some hellfire and brimstone, but not really, but
Emmett Selk and company are not really down for this. Want her shut down, but Hermes, good old compassionate Hermes, still wants to hear the rest of the report, wants to hear it in full, wants to honor what Medion has done, and I think on some level is just trying to confront and deal with this idea of, okay, but what if it really is all pointless? And flees to the Catesis Hyperborea to listen to her report. God, that was such a
this was dungeon. A fun dungeon. Especially if you run it with the trusts. Holy shit. Running with Emmett Selk and Vana and Hydelothius. I'm terrible at pronouncing it. Anyway, running with those three. Oh, so much fun. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was something I had wondered about. It's like, okay, we're coming up to a dungeon. There's going to be a trusts option, but none of the Scions are here. We are literally in the past, and I don't think any of us can join us. How is this going to work? And then we're standing outside there, and the three of them start discussing their combat capabilities, and realize, oh, that's where this is going.
It was gorgeous. It was amazing. Loved it.
Yeah. Venat, as the former Azem, of course, is trained in a wide variety of combat and can fulfill any role.
Yep, and then
yeah, Hythlodaeus can be a bard, and then Emmett Selk can use his prodigious magic skill either for offense as a black mage or for defense as a dark knight.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, so
all the roles are covered.
Yeah. In fact, there's a couple, no matter which role you're in, everything's covered because Venat will fill in whatever gaps you have.
Yep.
I think she even outright says as much because of her training. She can just go ahead and and her experience. She can just go and fill in whatever roles are missing.
Yep, kind of like the way the Crystal Exarch would.
Yep. Oh, I am hoping that this is going to, this is setting the tone for more stuff they might do with the trust system in future.
Mm-hmm. But that boss fight at the end of the dungeon, whoa. And then how all of that rolled out, it was well done. Go ahead.
Again, given we've had this entire... Oh, I also do want to mention, before all this, we did get a chance to spend some time with Vana, which... Again, it was another one where it's like, okay, this could be all right, hero, you must do yada yada. But no, it's hey, you're an adventurer, I'm an adventurer, let's trade adventure stories.
And,
and just standing out on a high thing overlooking Elpis, in my case, timing-wise, as the sun was rising. And it's like, oh, we shared adventure stories all night. This is not master and student. This is not a goddess and supplicant, whatever. This is just, hey, we're two adventure buddies, and we're going to tell our stories.
We're a couple of Azems.
Yeah. We are people who go out and see the world and come back and tell cool stories about what happened.
Yes.
So I really wanted to make sure we mentioned that just because that was such a goddamn beautiful scene.
So we fight against Hermes. And I don't remember
also a lot of ancient.
Go ahead.
also a lot of ancient constructs. There's a lot of concepts that needed testing in there.
But basically what ends up happening is this giant Catesis Hyperborea is not only a testing chamber, but it also has the capability to erase memory.
Right? There's lots of highly secure stuff going on there. It's pretty much always done with consent, except for, this one time.
Yeah. So he's attempting to wipe all our memories so we don't remember any of this, like any of the future stuff, any of the whole thing with Medion and the impending doom,
Hermes is racked with grief. He sees Medion saying, okay, life is just a burden, I will leave the universe of it. And he thinks about all the stuff he's been going through, all this stuff that seems to be created just to suffer. All the stuff that wanted to live, having to make it over. And he says, you know what? No, Medion, I am going to respect the work you've done here. I am going to give you your chance to go ahead and test us and see if we're worthy of existing, if we can find our reason to live in this vast, uncaring universe. And yes, as part of that, he sends Medion off to the farthest edges of the universe and wipes our memories. So, we won't be able to go and chase her down. She will get her chance to test us. And if humanity is worthy, they'll survive. And if not, well, not. God, dude could really use an antidepressant.
Except for the fact that he didn't erase our memories, and he didn't erase Vanna's memories.
I mean, he certainly tried to, but adventurer bullshit!
Yep, we basically fall off the platform, and we're out of the arena. And it goes off and it hits Hythlodaeus and Emet-Selch and Hermes himself. So the three of them come out and they're all like, what the fuck happened? This thing just went off and our memories are wiped. Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
Hermes did mention that the thing that they were have is that, okay, they were in there, they were doing something, there was an accidental activation, pretty much something where it's like, okay, this is unfortunate, but things had been normal beforehand, to give them no reason to suspect and investigate.
And a hand wave the whole thing
bastard,
off.
I'll give him that. Yeah.
But that really introduces the reason why we were able to do all of this without breaking the timeline. It's because Vanna knew.
And that Vanna knew, and Vanna is quick enough on the uptake to realize, okay, no, we can't go telling them this. I remember what you told me. I remember what's happened here. I see how this all needs to go. I think she even says that now we must play a very long game.
Mm-hmm. And we get
so quick on the uptake. God, I love her.
Super fast on that. But then we get this really sad cutscene of her. Or maybe not at this point, but I remember there's this cutscene where she's basically walking through time, kind of, as it normally progresses.
I remember, so she talks with us a little bit about what we need to do, about the fact that she may in fact be embarking on her own timeline, and so it's not necessarily the case that how this went, but that the stuff we've learned here should be enough to help us in our time. Yep. And hey, who knows? Maybe this has, I think she said, planted the seeds of a conjunction, that maybe we're going off into different timelines, but hey, maybe this is setting up something where, no, it'll actually rejoin, and it's all part of the same thing. She makes it clear that she is not going to count on everything going down the same way it did on ours, which, again, very prudent, very smart, love her so much. But yeah, just to keep these memories in our heart, use them to go ahead and save our world.
So wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey things, and yes.
Yeah, after we return from Elpis is where we get to see a little bit of what happened for her afterwards, where...
You're a little fuzzy again, by the way.
We had the final...
Your camera's a little
stupid
fuzzy
camera.
Again.
Yeah, no, it keeps doing that. Where we see how it all unfolded. We see the wreckage of Amarat in the final days. We see Emet-Selch leading to make that sacrifice. We see Hythlodaeus seemingly signing up to be one of the sacrifices for Zodiark. All of this, and Venat stumbling through it, seeing her people who don't seem to have learned anything from this, who rather than beginning to learn and develop the things they need to survive in a universe that can often be cruel and unkind, saying, hey, we want to go back to our old sheltered existence. And saying that, no, this is not the way forward. There's a great line about how where once a man had wings to bear the sky, now he shall walk. And this is one that there's a whole thing that there's been a bit of controversy about. A lot of people, there's a lot of people who say, hey, no, the ancients should have had another chance, or something. Like, Venat didn't give them the chance to, like, try to solve it themselves. Which, I mean, we see that given that chance, they said, no, we'd much rather just try to continue to live in ignorance. And so the Sundering is put forward not just as a thing that restricted the power of Zodiark and prevent from doing all this, but something that sapped the strength of the people, that brought the ancients down from their lofty perches, made them into people who couldn't just hide themselves away from everything, who had to learn to live and engage with all this. Beautiful piece of story welding that, God, 5, 7, however many years I would never have expected, where they used the lyrics of answers throughout this.
Yeah.
About, like, those lyrics about how wanting to understand why it is we suffer, about all these things that life would do, about looking for answers and all this. Such a goddamn beautiful fucking sequence. And the fact that we had answers in various forms playing throughout, infused with all this new meaning of people who are being forced to confront the answers, or confront the question that Hermes was always asking, and that all these other people said, why would we ever even need to care about that? Oh, good. I could go on about this for hours. What time is it? I should probably not go on about this for hours. Look me up on the Phoenix Down Radio Discord and ask me about this, and I will go on about it for hours.
Provided you want to read all that. But, I mean, if this is something that you want, like a special Librarian segment on, or, you know, an entire episode on, let us know. Podcast at PhoenixDownRadio.com, Twitter at PHXDN Radio, any of those sources, let us know. You know, we do want to know.
I feel like at the very least I need to talk about a lot of the Greek terminology things, because there's a lot going on there.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing from you is we're going to have a two-part Librarian's Corner, you know, extended segment where you explain what the Greek part of it is and then your feelings on all of this.
Oh my god, if we're talking about my feelings, we might need a 4-parter.
Okay, let's make it 5.
There's some goddamn brilliant writing here.
But yes, that's where we're going to leave
in terms
off.
of the in terms of story progression, returning from Elpis to the modern world with understanding, with some answers. Don't give me that look. That was reasonably clever.
Anyway, before we get demonetized.
having some understanding of where this all came from, what its causes are, what we need to do in order to, we got the answers that we came for, and in the process got a lot more of a reflection on what it means to be the Warrior of Light, what it means to be an adventurer. Also got stuff to spawn like a million fanfics. I have seen so many cute art things of like Hythlodaeus with cute stuffed sharks, or Hythlodaeus and Venat tormenting Emmett Selk. God, they were already breakout fan characters before all this, and I feel like they just made them even more memeable.
Or now then when they added Hermes and Medion, you know, the one, this is my daughter. This is your daughter? This is my daughter.
Oh,
if you haven't seen it, you got to see it.
Precious Medion and keep her safe. Yeah. Oh God, I have so many memes I need to share out.
This is why you need to protect the cinnamon rolls, because otherwise they become nihilistic and deadly. So yeah.
Oh, everything is like one sad cutscene away from becoming a world-destroying nihilist.
And on that bombshell, that's going to do it for this episode. If you
Whatever,
liked what you
I'm
heard,
on antidepressants now.
well, I mean, maybe we can be an antidepressant. I don't know. But if you liked what you heard, please consider liking, following, and subscribing to us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and if possible, leave us a rating or review. One thing I forgot to mention last episode was we learned that Spotify actually has a rating system now where you can actually leave comments. So if you listen to us on Spotify, leave us a comment there too. It helps us know how we're doing and helps other people to find our show as well. And if you really dig the show, you can consider subscribing to us at twitch.tv/PhoenixStarRadio, where we try to do these episodes every other Saturday night, provided my internet doesn't want to be a dick.
Woo! New earlier start time at that.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to try this 7 o'clock or 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday nights, and see how that works for us.
Oh my god, I'm so glad I don't work Saturdays anymore.
It's kind of nice having weekends off, isn't it? Anyway, you can support us by subscribing over at twitch.tv/PhoenixStarRadio and get access to a number of subscriber-only emotes and badges. Or if you want to be an amazing supporter, you can go out to patreon.com/PhoenixStarRadio and join us like our benevolent overlord Rory Fenrir or our shadowy foreign investor Tibian Salts. All the proceeds we get go towards growing the show. It covers hosting costs, allow us to do upgrades and improvements to our equipment, and do some pretty cool giveaways as well. But whatever you do, any type of support, likes, tweets, retweets, any of that, it's greatly appreciated because we really do love interacting with you guys, which is why it feels so weird not doing this live on Twitch and interacting with you guys there. So we're going to try and get back to it as soon as we can.
Yeah, definitely wanted to get an episode out so you've got something, but it's not the same without you fuckers.
Exactly. So we're going to
Am I allowed to call them fuckers?
Yes, you're lovely fuckers. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. If you want to check out the rest of our backlog, you can go out to our website, PhoenixStarRadio.com. And if you have questions, comments, suggestions, email us, podcast@PhoenixStarRadio.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter at PHXDNRadio. And if you go to either of those, you can find a link to our Discord site as well that will give you access to not only ask us questions there, you can jump into the library and ask questions of Seyrr. Or if you just want help in game, or you just want somewhere to shit post, it's a fun place for that too. Seyrr does a lot of that.
Oh man, I can't wait till we've got data center travel, and then we can hang out with people from all over. It'll be great.
Exactly, it'll be so much fun. So you have any shout outs?
Shout out to my friend Steven who let me know about a couple sales at the place he was working, which is why I have like new clothes for the first time in ages. Woo! I got some new pants, a jacket.
Boots
oh
and
my
pants?
god, being full time with a full
and boots and pants? And boots and pants? Sorry.
The boots with the fur. God, I love that one.
You're such a basic bitch.
Okay. Rarefied applewood staff. She had that applewood staff and the robes with the fur.
Oh,
the whole collectors club will be looking at her. You're gonna mock me, you're gonna mock Koji. I mean, you could probably mock Koji anyways, it'll be fine.
Koji's mockable too, but we still love him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you ostensibly still love me too.
That's less of a certainty, but anyway. Sorry, just kidding.
It's nice to actually be like, okay, not have to think about every single purchase before I make it, and to like have new clothes.
Yeah.
So thanks to my friend Steven, because yeah, I'm thinking about it. I still don't want to do impulse purchasing, but it was, and I do thank him for again letting me know about the sale, so I didn't have to spend too much on it, but it was nice. We then hung out and watched the new Spider-Man movie, so that was great too.
Oh, isn't that a good movie?
Oh my god. I am not going on about other properties right now, but oh my god, it was good.
Yes. At least there's somebody else I can talk to about it. Yes, the whole multiverse.
We'll talk after the show.
Okay. Yeah, it's just sad we're not going to have the same after show as we normally would, but it is what it is.
Oh, yeah. We want to give you something, even if it's not quite as much, but hopefully we have the connection working better for next time so that we can enjoy all of your lovely presences.
Exactly.
But yeah, you can, for those who want to hear from me, you can find me on Twitter at FF14Seyrr. That's FFXIV SEYRR. Also, again, the Phoenix Down Radio Discord. I think I actually have a question or two I need to respond to on that, so I'll go ahead and do that after this.
There you go.
Yeah, love to hear from you all. Love your questions. Love to talk about whatevs.
Cool. And of course, I need to shout out Seyrr because, you know, he's an amazing person. He helped with putting together show notes again, making sure that I didn't fuck up the story too much. Made it so it was a little bit easier for us to understand and read, you know, because that's just kind of what he does.
There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot. And trying to remember all of it is very difficult. Also, shout outs to somebody that I guess I didn't realize that I had a part-time waiter in my little izakaya at the FC house. Shout out to Nako Kanehara, who really enjoys the little apartment that I made, or my personal chambers. So much so he actually wants to bring his friends in there and then do, you know, have, you know, role play in there. So that's kind of neat. New player though, so I didn't want to have him come check out the podcast and then get spoiled by everything yet. So, but
yeah,
especially tonight. So, but I mean, even though they're not they wouldn't be able to listen right now anyway. But on the podcast,
big shout out to you. You've got a lot of stuff to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And someday you'll get to hear us talking about it.
Yep. I mean, maybe we'll because even I think they're looks like they're just into like Heaven's Word right now, or maybe the end of ARR. Level, they're currently in World of Darkness right now. I signed in the game so I could remember their name because I just thought it was really cool. I got this out of the ordinary. They're just, you know, unsolicited friend request, and I'm like, who the hell is this? So I went in and looked at it, and then it's like they messaged me and I'm like, hey, you know, you have an awesome izakaya, and I'm like, oh, you're the person who wrote in my book, and so it was cool. It's nice to have something that you do in game recognized and enjoyed by others. It makes doing it worthwhile. So thank you to you. Hope you enjoy your time in game, and eventually, you know, we'll introduce you to the podcast so you can enjoy that. If you want to follow me out on social medias, I am out on Twitter at PHXDN_KLAUSS. I occasionally post things. Look forward to something in about 2 weeks. And we'll talk about it on the podcast as well. But for my co-host, Seyrr Tomono, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Sorry we couldn't do this live, but we hope you enjoy this episode anyway. And until next time, take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is a copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.